Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Heather.
And I'm Charlie.
And together we are working to connect women in leadership and business, empowering each other, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, soul, and mind, connecting to the heart and soul of who we are and what we do. And today is a very special edition. We have often wanted to do this and just have car conversations with Heather and Charlie.
Yay!
We tend to have good conversations when we're driving around.
We do.
And so we've often thought we should just record this stuff. Like, who's not want to know this?
So we are on our way back to the office, back to the studio from a really amazing networking event and meeting in Mill Creek, Washington.
So that's about 45 minutes south of where we live. So we got to drive home, right? So we've been out networking and talking to people since 8 o'clock this morning. So we're coffeeed up. So let's get our brains going, Charlie.
Right? And so I will be watching the road, but definitely joining in on the conversation here. We have had some interesting things come up for us lately, and a lot of it has to do with confidence.
Yes, I like that. I like stepping into who I feel like I really am in that, and having that faith that I'm already that person, that I'm already in that.
Because you're trusting your own inner knowing.
Yeah, and it's been a minute to get there.
It takes practice. It takes awareness of different things. Like, how do you react to things? Like, somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you react to that? Is it negative? Where does that reaction come from? Have you ever had a reaction to something that you're like, ooh, I did not like how I reacted to that? And then ask yourself, where does that come from?
What's happening here? Yeah,
What's
I had it happen the other day. I didn't hear Charlie. She said something 3 times. I only heard the tail end.
To be fair, I was across the yard.
She was in the studio. I wasn't. There was fans and, noise barriers, and I was watching a video, So all these things are happening, and I've been getting interrupted because our kids are really needing us right now because it's that time of year of going back to school, and they're extra needy this time of year. My kid is, and I feel like yours are, so I can say that collectively our kids have needed us more.
It's the end of summer,
yeah,
right? So our kids don't get our attention as all day, every day.
No, they don't.
When they're back to school. And they've been kind of used to getting our attention more the last few years.
Right.
Not that we ignore our kids at all, because we don't.
No, but they've been home with us,
right? Been home.
And a lot more. And they, want to have control over all the situations. And our kids definitely struggle with change.
Yep.
So starting the new school year is one of the most stressful times of the year. And then being a mompreneur, we're like working our fannies off. Like, here we are. We're out here networking and connecting with community and looking for new people to talk to and talking to new people.
Yeah, it's been super fun and very, very rewarding. But one of the things, like I said, that keeps coming up is this self-confidence thing, and the things that we tell ourselves that we get in our heads about, like this, you're not enough, or I'm just.
I'm tired of that word, just. You need to throw that word out. If you hear that word, I want you to think about what you say after it. I'm just what?
Right.
Because you're not just anything. You're very valid. You're very worthy. And you owning that power changes how people interact with you.
Absolutely. One of the questions that we had come up at one of our networking meetings this week is, how do you feel when someone gives you a compliment?
Right? Are you a deflector? Oh, I got this at the Goodwill, or do you kind of downplay how cute something is, or are you able to say thank you and hold your tongue? And what are you saying in your head?
Right.
Because are you using that? Well, yeah, but
don't butt yourself, and don't judge yourself.
Is that playing in your head? Like, it's hard to change our mindset, right, guys?
It is hard. It takes awareness and practice. First thing is the awareness of noticing what you're doing and how you're feeding yourself negative thoughts versus positive thoughts. Whether it's the music we listen to on the radio, the conversations we have, the TV shows we're watching, what are we actually feeding ourselves, and where are these negative messages coming from? And it might even be something from way back in your past that somebody told you, like maybe, you used to love to sing, and now you
and your brother said to you, "Sissy, don't sing, it hurts my ears." And how did you take that?
Do you still sing?
I didn't sing for a long time because that's what my brother said to me when he was little. Like, and kids are brutally honest. So, he's 5 years younger than me, and I was a kid when he said that. It sticks with you. And I love to sing karaoke now, but I had to overcome that and overcome that thought process.
And what that looks like.
Right. And it looks different for each one of us when we find these things. I was noticing there, and I've been working on the energy of being a provider. And I always, in my image, in my head, I've always been a wife. Or I was going to be a wife.
How do we label ourselves and limit ourselves?
Waiting for someone to step into the other role of provider, and that's me. I need to step into that role, right? So, and I didn't even realize that it was still pulling me back for a while. So it takes that perspective, that that the daily meditation practices, doing these things, to be able to find some of those things,
right? And it could take weeks, months, years. I know I have been on a personal growth journey for about 7 years. So these things don't happen overnight, right? It's creating a new habit.
Sometimes these things were given to us when we were like 2 or 3 years old, and you don't even know that that's where your brain is.
Right.
You're like, oh, that's why I think the way I do. Or you go meet a family member you haven't talked to in 10, 15 years, and you're like, oh, that's from my family.
Yeah.
That was big, right?
Or maybe you don't see your family or whatever very often, but you feel like every time you go back there, it takes you back there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It takes you back, right? It takes you back to that place where they want you to fit in this box that you don't fit in anymore. You've outgrown the box. It takes you back to that place of, for me, it's judgment, and trying to fit in. I've always been the black sheep of the family. I never really fit in.
Black sheep. But that didn't mean you weren't trying to fit in.
No,
either, right?
Right.
So, like, even though you know that you don't fit into this preconceived idea of whatever it is, right? We still try to shove ourselves into that box. And that feels super yucky.
It does. It does. If you are in a place that just does not feel right to you, like you have been pegged into this, you're a square peg and they're trying to shove you in, and you're trying to fit into a round hole, it's not going to work. You need to find your place where you fit, where you can be authentically you, because that is where you are going to shine the brightest. By being your true self, by working with your awareness, And, taking a step back and seeing yourself for the incredible, interesting, beautiful, strong, charismatic person that you are. None of those are bad qualities. No. Maybe you've been told you're too loud. Maybe you try to be quiet. You try to quiet yourself. There's power in that loudness. Your voices are sitting. Yeah. Maybe maybe you're self-conscious about the way you dress. And maybe you feel like things don't fit right, or maybe you feel like you're supposed to dress and look a certain way. The face of business and what corporate business looks like is unique. It's not all pencil skirts and blazers or slacks anymore. It can be creative and fun and beautiful and interesting.
You don't have to go all Abby to be all God, but you could incorporate a few pieces you like into your wardrobe. So you have your still personality. If you want to learn more about that, head on over to Allie Jean's challenge.
Right. Allie Jean's doing a style challenge. We talked about it on last week's podcast. So you can check that out too. But these challenges that we give ourselves are to bring us out of our comfort zone a little bit, because maybe we're comfortable in that box that we don't fit in, but it's like an oversized cat trying to fit in the box. It's not really working for you. I'm going to fit for fish bowls. It's going to happen, right?
Busting out of the sea, right?
Right. And we don't want that for you. We want you to be able to fit in a place that you are made to fit in.
It's already there.
It's already there. So how can we help you do that? How can we help you expand your brand of self? How can we help you improve your self-branding to include that confidence piece?
Ask yourself, if I was already confident, what would that look like? How would I show up differently? Create that confidence. What will that look like for you? If I was more confident than I am now, how does that play out? How do you feel?
What are you wearing?
Are you empowering yourself with different pieces of jewelry? Are you putting on clothes that make you feel absolutely like you're on fire, ready to take on the world?
I know for me, I wear my mullahs because they just really make me feel good and powerful and strong and beautiful and feminine all at the same time. My rings that I wear remind me of different things. I have one that's stars, and that just reminds me that the universe is here for me. The universe is providing me everything that I need at the time I need it. The universal energy, God, whatever you want to call that, higher power. Because we all have that inner light of awareness that shines through our higher power. And so being able to tap into that, into your true essence of who you are, so that my stars and planet jewelry just reminds me that I am strong and powerful. I am made of stardust, and it's just extremely confidence building for me. Heather.
I I think my biggest one's always my socks. And I'm finding that I don't need them every day like I did. Like every day I would put on my socks and I would use, I tend to wear character socks or something fun, and I really say an empowerment statement, like I'll bring the power of the electric energy to help me connect to the world, and I'll put that on in the sock. And my left foot is my foot out into the world, and my right foot is what I need for myself. So what do I need to help myself be okay today? That's probably my biggest one. Is my socks. I have to wear them, so I might as well have some fun with them.
Right. Right. And you can dress yourself with whatever you already have planned for the day, but think of each piece of clothing, each piece of jewelry that you are putting on as some kind of like badge.
Your armor going
Your
out
armor
into the world.
going out into the world. This is how you are presenting yourself to the world. This is how you are protecting yourself from the negative energy of the world. Whatever that looks like to you, just being able to be like, I'm putting on this shirt because it makes me feel really great in this way, whatever that is for you. I'm putting on my pants one leg at a time because that is how I'm going to take on my day, one moment at a time. I got this. Whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
Just getting dressed in the morning can have so much power over that.
Then when you go to the restroom and you pull your pants down and you put them back on, you're like, I put these on with power. Like, I'm stepping into my day one moment at a time. You're not just one time of the day reminding yourself of these things, which is how you're going to overcome that negative self-banter that's so programmed in your brain. So the more time you can spend the more time you can spend choosing what you're putting into your brain, the less time you're going to just have to be aware of the yucky coming out of it, right?
Yeah. And another thing you can do to help boost your confidence with your business is talking, video, audio. Those things have a greater impact on you and your business than I think you would ever dream of. Because through audio and video, people get to know you a little bit more.
Your true personality, as opposed to just the basics of what you're offering. Or, there's a storefront, but we don't know what warmth is on the inside of the storefront. So by creating video and audio and using your voice and getting yourself out there, it's scary at first, but having the fear, doing it anyways. Remember how resilient you are. You will come out on the other side stronger, more confident, bolder in your, knowing of your choices.
And we've all heard the term "fake it till you make it," right? And some people live by that. I'm gonna fake it till I make it. Well, guess what? If you're faking it, it's not gonna help you make it. It's the people want to get to know the real you, and they can spot a fake from a mile away.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not faking it till we make it. We are being ourselves so that we can make it. Because if we are not true to ourselves and who we are not doing ourselves any favors. We're trying to fit into that box again.
And then we're not letting our truest self shine, and then we're not showing up in our true purpose here. And then this process takes even longer, right?
Right. Because what happens when we're not being true to ourselves? We're lying to ourselves. And you should never lie to yourself. The more we lie to ourselves, the easier it is to lie to other people. Ouch. Right? Look if we can lie to ourselves and believe those lies we tell ourselves, what does that say about who we are?
Well, sometimes we're just really blind when
Yeah.
we're lying to ourselves.
Yeah.
So having a friend that's not awful,
Mhm.
you know, just be like, are you sure? Are you lying to yourself or just to me? Like,
Mhm.
get that thought process going of looking at the situation to be like, oh man, I am lying to myself. That's not how this is going.
Mhm. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's all getting out of your own head, right? Figuring out what is actually true versus what maybe we thought was true, or what we keep telling ourselves that's true, even if it's not, or if it feels yucky.
Right. Like what's happening there.
Uh-huh.
Maybe yucky is a signal that you need to pay attention to. So like feeling yucky is the new function.
Right.
I don't like that it feels yucky.
And what does that yucky feeling tell you? You know, when we're kids and we're learning, you know, good versus bad, right versus wrong, you know, these are all agreements that we're being conditioned to learn. Well, as we get older, we learn that maybe some of those agreements that we were taught by society, teachers, parents, whatever, are not true. You know, we have to break that habit, that agreement we have with ourselves in our own minds and our own bodies. And it takes repetition, just like we were taught to believe these things. You have to repeat it over and over and over and over again, maybe even twice as often, in order to then truly break that agreement with yourself.
I did this challenge where you write out your goal 55 times every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, at first it was like, oh my gosh, this is homework. And then I really got into it, and I really felt the energy of like writing out the good, like the yucky stuff, and writing in the good stuff. Like I went through this transformation in the process. It's really kind of cool. It's called a 55 for 5 challenge. They also have a 33 for 30 challenge. You can get like a book on Amazon. It's a thing.
Yeah. Well, think about it this way also. When we were kids and we were in school and we were learning how to spell, one of those things that we did to help us remember how to spell certain words is we would write each word 5 or 10 times or 20 times or whatever it was. And then we'd also write the word in a sentence, and then we'd like write the definition and do all these things to make that
we're talking about.
Yes. So then sheep, SHEEP, spell sheep. Okay, we know that because that's how it was ingrained into us. I don't know why I picked sheep, but sheep. We know that that's how it's spelled.
About sheep, and you're like, I had a whole visual about sheep when you said it that way. Like, you know,
SHEEP spells sheep, and that is an agreement that we made because we learn these agreements through communication, because that is how we exist as humans in the world around us, is through communication. So, you know, we learn certain colors are yellow, you know, certain colors are black, certain colors are blue, certain colors are purple, and we know that all the colors of the rainbow have an entire spectrum unto themselves.
Yes.
So, you know, it's the same thing with our thought processes. You know, we learned it a certain way, but maybe that purple is actually mauve or whatever. So it changes it a little bit.
Right.
Periwinkle, for instance, that's a different shade. When I say these words, you see it different, right? Okay. When I say red, you probably think of the primary red color, right?
But if red's your favorite color, maybe you think of this really deep wine color.
Or like a burgundy, or, you know, whatever. But the point is that we agree to these things, that this is what they are called, and this is, you know, the package that they're in. You know, red's a color.
Where are we going with the agreement on colors?
Well, it's the whole concept of making agreements with ourselves.
Okay.
But maybe to somebody who is colorblind, it's not red, it's gray.
Right.
And what does that look like to them? My red might be different than your red.
Well, I have a friend that is colorblind, and she sent me a picture of her Christmas tree because she doesn't see it as green. She sees it as blue. And it was a blue Christmas tree, so she couldn't believe that it was an actual blue Christmas tree because she thought for sure her family was messing with her. So she sent it to me. It's a blue Christmas tree, but she was like, I always see it in that color, so is it that color? Like, you know.
Yeah. So again, it's those agreements that we've agreed with ourselves in society that this is what is right and true, which we have learned over time that it's not always the case. This is where things like bigotry, racism, things like that stem from.
Because you think
homophobia.
It's a normal thing, and then you realize that you've been thinking in a way that somebody else was thinking that doesn't fit up with
you've been conditioned
feeling, right? And you can tell that it's just an agreement we need to change.
And you can feel that within yourself with that yucky feeling. Okay, so it's that inner knowing. You know when something's right or wrong. You have that intuition, you know, and to learn how to listen to that and follow that. And another big area that this keeps coming up for me is body autonomy. And what we are taught about body autonomy versus what might actually be true. When my generation, when we were kids, we were told to, you know, go hug grandma before we leave. Oh, well, I don't really want to hug grandma. You know, that's not comfortable for me, but we have to hug grandma, or mom's going to be upset with me and grandma's going to be upset with me, and I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. But then we are maybe hugging grandma feels yucky to me.
And not listen to that yucky feeling. So then we put ourselves in situations that
are potentially dangerous.
How we got into, because we don't know that we should go ahead and trust that yucky feeling, right? For ourselves.
Right. Because we were taught not to listen to our inner knowing. So I am going to say to you that your self-confidence is your inner knowing. And you know intuitively what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is not. And what is true and right for you might not be true and right for someone else. And that's okay.
That's part of life. We're not the same person.
Right. We're not the same people. We have this deep understanding, this deep inner knowing that we just really need to tap back into as humans.
We hope that helps you get an understanding of awareness around your own confidence. Something I like to tell people to do is to take a picture of yourself every single day. Not that you have to share it with anyone, but just so that you get used to seeing yourself every single day. It is how I discovered that I really like to have bangs, because I didn't really care for my hair always being pulled back in my selfie pictures, right? Like you start to go, oh, this is how I like myself to be, or I don't like myself to be in this way, or how do I want to show up? So it's a great tool. And then, you know, if you get braver, maybe you'll put it out there on the social media, right? And you'll learn the techniques of how to move the phone, and, you know, the fun things. But when you start, you're just taking a picture of your face every single day. That's the part.
Also, you know, with that, we tend to not look at ourselves.
Right.
Because when we look at ourselves, we judge ourselves. Right? And it goes back to that confidence piece. How are we judging ourselves when we look at ourselves? So my challenge to you is to not only take a picture every day, but look in the mirror. Tell yourself good things about yourself. You know, find those little details that you truly like about yourself. If you can't find those little details, like, ooh, I really love how this little piece of my eye is a different color, or whatever that may be for you, appreciate those things. And if you can't find those things, start telling yourself things about yourself that you want to like in a positive way, so you learn to appreciate them. Like when I first started getting gray hair, I didn't necessarily like that I was getting gray hair, and I found that I was telling myself that I don't like gray hair. You know, gray hair makes me feel old, makes me look older than I am, or older than I want to look, or whatever. All that negative. It wasn't positive things that I was telling myself. So instead, I decided, and you don't have to do this, it might not be right for you, but I decided that I wasn't going to color my hair anymore, and that I was going to embrace my hair the way it is, because
you earned every one of those hairs.
I did. I earned every single one of them, and I find that I am actually in awe of women with beautiful silvery, hair. And my husband's grandma has really beautiful salt and pepper hair, and she is like 97. And she's just the most amazing person in the world. And I'm like, when I go gray, as I go gray, I hope my hair is salt and pepper like that. Beautiful, because it is beautiful. I complimented a gal at our networking meeting today on her beautiful silver natural hair, because it just makes me feel good. It makes them feel good, and I'm learning to love myself the way I am. Gray hair and all, wrinkles, scars, they tell my story. I don't need to hide that from anybody. Right. That's me and who I am, and that's my story. And everybody's story is a little different. But I have felt better about my hair in the last year than I think I have ever in my life. And that is powerful. It is powerful. It is powerful. So when you're feeling powerful, you're going to use that power in a good way. One possible good way is giving back in your community where your heart feels led to give. This quarter, our heart is led to give at the Tears Foundation. The Tears Foundation is a local nonprofit organization that helps families in the time of need after the loss of an infant or child. They help through the bereavement time, they help with the financial costs, and they also do education about infant safety all over the world. So I think it's pretty spectacular that we can see what happens when you stick to something and you really understand your mission. Here they are, they're coming up on their 20-year anniversary, and they're having a huge party. They're doing the Roaring 20s, and there's going to be a live auction and a silent auction. And if you've got something you would like to give to donate to either one of those, we're taking donations. And we can't hardly wait till we get to get dressed up in Roaring 20s clothes and go have fun for the night. I'm pretty excited about it for sure. Definitely. Head on over to our website, www.womeninleadershipesmc.com. Stay up on all the current things. Remember, we have 4 podcasts drop every week. And we've been in the middle of a meditation challenge. So be sure to
to make sure you check out what we've got going on.
So much, all the time. So fun.
We appreciate you for coming along for this special edition of Driving with Charlie and Heather.